Hi, welcome to another craft video from the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library. I'm Cheryl and I'm in charge of the craft kits at the main library. And today's video is to accompany a craft kit that we'll be giving out at the main library starting May 15th, 2023. But if you don't have a kit or you're watching this later on our YouTube channel, don't worry. You can make this project with just supplies that you buy at the craft store. Okay, so what we're making today is we're making this hand-painted tea towel. We have foam stamps and fabric paint that you can paint the tea towels. Now this one happens to be a very large tea towel, but if you're buying your own supplies, you can buy whatever kind you want. And you can actually use this or just be decorative. And so now we'll show you what's in the kit. Okay, so what you'll have in the kit, or what you'll need to purchase if you don't have a kit, is a tea towel. Now this is not the kind that has the little loops like a regular towel. This is just a flat cotton tea towel. This one happens to be square, and this one will come pre-washed. If you're buying your own, you will need to pre-wash the tea towels so that the fabric paint will stick to it. You will get a foam stamp that has a fruit or a vegetable or something like that on it. And you can buy these at the craft store or on Amazon or any place like that. You will get some fabric paint, and any kind of fabric paint will work. You will also have a fabric marker in black. We have various sizes, and you'll have one of these in your kit. It has to be a fabric marker in order to make this washable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the side that is the right side. On the underneath side, you'll see the hems folded over to that side, and the other side will be the right side. Now, tea towels are fairly thin, so if you're not working on a good work surface, an easily washable work surface, what I would suggest is putting something down like a piece of paper, because the paint may soak through. You will also get in your kit some sort of paintbrush. It doesn't really matter what kind. We're just going to be using it to put the paint onto the stamp. So I'm just going to take my thing and I'm just going to put a nice layer of paint, trying to make it a nice even layer with no glops, but you don't want to make it too thin because that will leave you spots when you push it onto the tea towel where it's not covered. So I think that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to position this on here. And I happen to be doing it, I'm going to be doing it in each of the corners and maybe a little bit on each side. Depends on how I feel. There we go. So now I think I'm going to do a couple of these on each corner. And I'm just going to repeat the process each time. Now when I move it to the other corner, I'm going to have to be careful not to let my tea towel fold over and let this paint touch any place else. All right. And if I get a little bit of a glob, I can take my brush and kind of just pull it inward, or I can just let it dry. And I can take my brush and I can touch up spots where it's I didn't have enough paint. But part of the appeal of this kind of technique is that it looks kind of country-ish, you know, and it looks kind of rustic. So you don't actually want it to be completely perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to move to another corner, and remember, I'm going to be very careful. Now see how that bled through a little bit? That's why I wanted a piece of paper to cover my work surface. Now I need to make sure that's dry before I put another part of the towel on it, because I don't want that to touch the rest of it. But that was just a tiny little bit of paint, so it's dry, so it won't transfer. Now I'm going to be very careful about turning this and not letting that part with the paint fold over. You don't want it to fold over on itself, and you don't want it to touch any other part of the tea towel. So you have to be very careful about that. Now that will dry, since it's a very thin layer of paint, that will dry very quickly. But I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing on each corner. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline it when it's dry. I'm going to come back and outline it with the black marker, the fabric marker. Okay, that's all 4 corners. Now I need to decide if I want to do the edges. If I want to, I can. But I think I'm going to leave it at just the 4 corners. And now I'm going to go wash my brush and my stamp. While this is still wet, until it's cured, it is washable with soap and water. But after it's set for a while, then it will be permanent on the fabric. So I'm going to go wash my brush. Okay, so they're all washed now. So I can reuse them if I want to for other projects. Now the paint may stain this little foam a little bit, but as long as you wash off as much as you can with soap and water and then let it dry, you can reuse this over and over and over again. I particularly love the ones with handles, but you don't have to have ones with handles. Ones that are just flat foam will work just as well. But I like to have something to grip onto. That's kind of my favorite. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some little details with my fabric marker. And you might have a small fabric marker, you might have a big fabric marker, but all of them should have at least, let's see, this one has a very pointed tip, this one has a flat and a point that you can use just the point. It's up to you, but what I'm going to do is I like to do a little bit of outlines for the paint once it is pretty dry to the touch. Let me make sure, yeah, these feel pretty dry to the touch. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit of an outline here, and for the cherry I'm just going to go around like this. And if you're doing this project with, say, your kids or something like that, you can even have the kids write their names with the fabric marker. This fabric marker is going to be permanent. And I like to do a little bit here. You don't have to completely outline everything. And you can even use the fabric marker. Now you'll have, hold on, let me get some of the other. Now we have a whole set of fruit and vegetable marker or vegetable stamps. So you might have an ear of corn, you might have an orange or lemon slice, you might have a carrot. So your color, I will try and match your color to whatever stamp you have. But you're also, what you're going to do to decorate around it will depend on what you've got here. So if I had, let's say, the grape stamp, maybe I'll do some little vines around the grapes. If I had the carrot, maybe I would do some grass with my marker, to have a couple of carrots sitting in the grass. Or, you can just do swirly things and decorations and, sign your name. In this case, I have cherries. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to add a couple of leaves. So I'm just going to do kind of like that. Now you want to be very gentle with these markers because this does soak down into the fabric. So if you push too hard, you might find your lines getting a little bit too big. So then I'm going to go through and I'm going to do the same thing for every one of the corners or wherever I've stamped. And I can just add as much decoration as I'd like. Okay, so I have finished up all of my corners and doing my marker all around my painting. And I could keep going if I wanted to. I have quite a bit of fabric paint left, and I could just cover the whole thing. You don't want to really cover too much if you're actually going to be using it. If it's just going to be decorative, you might do a line along all the edges. But if you're going to use it, you want actually a lot of open space to actually be absorbent, because the part where you've painted over won't be absorbent. Now, for this fabric paint, it will dry to the touch very quickly, but in order to be fully cured and washable, you will need to let it, just fold it and set it aside for about a week. After it's completely dry, just set it aside for a week and forget about it. After a week, the paint will be fully cured and bonded to the cotton fabric. After that, you can wash it. Anytime I paint something, I don't like to wash it on hot. I wash it on cool in a gentle cycle, and I dry it just on either cool or medium. So it will be washable and usable after that. If you're going to actually be using it as a dish towel, in order for it to be very absorbent, you don't want to use fabric softener or the dryer sheets, because they coat the fibers to make them softer, and it also stops it from absorbing as much water when you're drying the dishes. So if you're actually going to be using this as a dish towel, then when you wash it, don't use fabric softener or dryer sheets. Wash it without dryer sheets. But if this is just going to be decorative, wash it how you'd like. Use fabric softener if you'd like. So that's it. So thank you for viewing another craft video from the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library. I'm Cheryl. I'll see you next time. Bye.